Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into an ancient Buddhist text that has a surprisingly modern message about how we handle anger. It's called the Simile of the Saw, and let me tell you, it offers one of the most radical, most powerful lessons on mental resilience you will ever come across.
Okay, let's just jump right into the deep end. This is the absolute heart of the teaching. And yeah, it's meant to be shocking. The Buddha presents this extreme, absolutely horrific scenario to make a point that's impossible to forget, about the power of a trained mind. This isn't just about dealing with daily annoyances. This is about keeping your inner peace under the worst circumstances you could possibly imagine.
But you know, a teaching this profound doesn't just start with some dramatic, over-the-top test. Nope. It actually starts with a very human, very relatable problem. A monk who was maybe just a little too defensive about his friends.
So the story kicks off with this monk named Mollapaguna. He was super close with a community of nuns, so close that if anyone said a bad word about the nuns in front of him, he'd get angry and immediately start a fight. And it worked both ways. If anyone criticized him, they'd jump to his defense, just as angry. They were kind of stuck in this loop of getting angry for each other.
So when the Buddha hears about this, he explains that this kind of reaction just isn't fitting for someone on a spiritual path. He tells Mollapaguna that even when you're provoked, the real training is to let go of those worldly attachments, to hold back from using harsh words, and most importantly, to stay compassionate with a mind full of loving kindness, completely free from any inner hate.
To really drive home this idea that our true nature only shows itself when we're put under pressure, the Buddha then tells this short but incredibly powerful story about a mistress and her maid. Okay, so picture this. In the city of Savatthi, there's this mistress named Vedahika, and she has a perfect reputation. Seriously, everyone says she's gentle, mild-mannered, just totally calm. But her maid, a pretty clever woman named Kali, starts to wonder, is this for real? Or is she just calm because I do my job so perfectly?
So Kali decides to put her to the test. The first day, she gets up just a little bit late. Vedika just frowns. Okay. The next day, Kali gets up even later. This time, Vedika says some harsh things to her. Uh-oh. On the third day, Kali gets up later still, and Vedika, just furious, grabs a door latch pin and hits her on the head hard enough to break the skin.
So there it is. Kali exposed the truth just by applying a little bit of pressure. Vedika's reputation for being gentle was shattered, and pretty soon everyone knew her as angry and violent. The Buddha used this to show that real gentleness, true inner peace, isn't about how we act when life is going our way. It's all about how we respond when we're tested.
So if that's the test, how do we pass it? How can we train our minds so we're not like Vedika? Well, the Buddha offered a series of really powerful metaphors to show us the way.
First, he just acknowledged the reality of the situation. People are going to say all kinds of things to you. Their words might be timed perfectly or horribly. They might be true or they might be complete lies. They can be gentle or harsh, helpful or harmful, and they might come from a place of love or a place of deep-seated hate.
The goal, then, the real training, is to stay stable no matter what combination of these words comes at you. The training is to decide, right here and now, that your mind will remain unaffected, that you won't speak evil words, and that you'll stay compassionate, with a mind of loving kindness, totally free from ill will.
To make this idea really concrete, he asked his followers to just think about the earth itself. Imagine someone comes along with a shovel and a basket. They start digging, spitting, and shouting, "I'm going to make this great earth into non-earth." Could they possibly succeed?
Of course not. It's kind of a funny thought, right? The Buddha explained that the earth is just too vast, too immense to be undone by someone like that. They'd only wear themselves out. And that is exactly how your mind should be. So vast and stable that the insults and harsh words of others they find no place to land, no way to disturb you.
Next, he gave them another image. Imagine someone comes with all these bright paints and says, "I'm going to paint a picture right here, in the middle of empty space." Can they do it?
Again? No way. Empty space is formless. You can't leave a mark on it. And your mind should be the same. The goal is to cultivate a mind that can't be painted on or stained by negativity, no matter what gets thrown at it.
Okay, now let's move to the final and most powerful image, the one that gives this whole teaching its name and brings us all the way back to that shocking statement from the beginning.
This is the ultimate test. The Pali phrase is Ubato Dandakena, Kakacena, with a two-handled saw.
The image is one of complete helplessness and excruciating pain. And even here, in this final moment, the instruction is the same. If you allow a thought of hate to arise in your mind, you are not practicing the teaching.
The core concept here is captured by the Pali term metta-citta. And this is really important. This isn't about passively enduring or just gritting your teeth through pain. It is an active state, the cultivation of a mind filled with metta or loving kindness that is vast, boundless, and totally free from hostility, and it's directed at all beings, even the ones causing you harm.
So what are we supposed to take away from these intense, powerful metaphors? How do we apply this ancient wisdom to our modern lives, which, are maybe less about two-handled saws and more about angry emails and arguments on social media?
Well, the core lessons are truly timeless. First, our true character reveals itself not when things are easy, but when they get tough. Second, with training, our minds can become immune to the harm of harsh words. We can do this by developing a mind that's as vast as the earth and as unstainable as the sky, and by practicing a kind of radical compassion that extends to everyone, no exceptions. The Buddha told his followers to remember this teaching often, promising it would lead to their long-term benefit and happiness.
And that leaves us with a final thought to carry forward. In our world, which is so full of conflict and harsh words, what would it actually take, day by day, to cultivate a mind as vast, as deep, and as unshakable as the great earth itself?